Hello and welcome to the Road to State House, the program that looks at the journey to the 2021 4th December presidential elections and what parties are doing in order to succeed to reach State House first. We understand there's somebody at State House at the moment who will take that person out of State House, enter State House, and govern this country for the next 5 years? Or will the incumbent stay at State House for another 5 years? Some political parties have already had their congresses. The National People's Party has launched its party at the Independence Stadium. We know that the United Democratic Party has also held its Congress, and so also are other parties that have also held their congresses. Mr. Jah is the deputy spokesperson for the Aprc, Alliance for Patriotic Reconciliation party. Is here with me in the studio. You have recently, in these very trying times for the party, conducted what has been described as a successful Congress. How were you able to do this, looking at the fact that you have been put in a very tight corner? In other words, your assets, your accounts have all been frozen by the present government. How were you able to go ahead and do this Congress?
Thank you very much, Mr. Jones. It's a pleasure for having me on your show. Road to State House, it's the dream of every political party, and the very reason why, or if not all, most political parties, they form a party so that they will be in State House. Your question is very, very crucial. The how, it's looking at the Aprc Constitution. It's made possible by 3-4 words that we believe, that's the motto of the party. We make sure this is inculcated in every member or most members of the party. It is their belief and what they live up to. Number one, we say unity. We are united as a party. That's something amazing you'll find within the Aprc. Secondly, we said self-reliance. We look outward, but without it, it is us who are going to do it and nobody else. And that is our strength, even financially. People dip their hands in their pockets. As little as it may be, they put it on the table. And looking at the number, the crowds we pull, everybody contributes an amount, definitely suffices for us to organize our events. And third is progress. From 2017 up to date, the political impasse, like you said, we've been pushed to the corner. We've been strangled through our accounts, assets, all frozen. But yet still the party is making a headway. Because of that progress, we believe we're not going to stop. No matter what it takes, we'll always be moving on. This is our secret.
Let's stay with the Congress. What did you learn of the might of the Aprc?
It is in the increase all the time. And we did it before. We're still doing it. And it is still our belief we'll continue to do it. Our biggest worry was how to contain that crowd. We're very sure that Benjamin Hall cannot accommodate Aprc as a party, even though Congress is meant for delegates, but opening ceremonies, you don't restrict it to delegates. You open up, and other invitees also have to take their position in gracing, such a very powerful event within a political party, as Congress is the highest authority in any organization. So definitely the people outside were more than those that we were able to accommodate. And even prior to the Congress, we did apologize to them that those will not be able to make it. But again, it shows our strength that Aprc is no pushover, and we are kingmakers.
Can you tell me what the procedure was like for the Congress? What was in place?
First, we selected or put up a committee. We call it the Congress Committee. The committee were tasked to draw a roadmap towards the success of this Congress. That's where all it started. So we sat as a body, we make sure people within the executive, even outside, were selected who can play a key part in shaping how the Congress would be like. We held several meetings by first and foremost outlining an overview of what type of Congress do we want. And we make some checklists, you know, places of work, making budgets, etc. And time in, time out, we've been reporting to the executive to give them a progress. And they've been pushing and cutting down, you know, especially if you bring in a budget, the executive would challenge, why this? So that committee, definitely, the Congress Task Force Committee did a very wonderful job by bringing different people from different backgrounds as a committee to steer us towards this successful Congress. And again, we did it before, like in 2018. We measured our successes and some of the lapses we had. We said we need to improve on our lapses and build on the successes. This is why we did better than what we have in 2018.
Now, what was the key note address of the deputy party leader?
He focused mainly about the country's sovereignty, you know, being mortgaged or lost to international bodies and countries, like you talk about Senegal, the EU, the Chinese. He reiterated, you know, a lot on that, and that is key. And just not long ago, we celebrated independence. So people should ask, are we really independent? So his keynote address centered on sovereignty a lot, and also challenging government on some of the responsibilities they are handling. He believes, or we believe as a party, they ought to do better, they ought to do more. So it was centered based on these 2 points.
Let me ask you your own, you've touched on something that I think every Gambian is now worried about, our sovereignty. How sovereign is the Gambia? We have just taken our constitution, a draft constitution, all the way to Nigeria. For somebody out there in Nigeria to sit down and discuss and make recommendations for us to go, how we go forward. Does that mean Gambia cannot take itself to where it ought to be?
Partially, yes. But listening to the excuses or where the CRRC would build their strength, they said they did consultation countrywide and in the diaspora. You consulted the people, they gave you or told you what they wanted. I believe if we are at loggerheads, what they should have created was a national dialogue to bring stakeholders from all those consultants or those that they consulted to see what will be the way forward. But exporting it or bringing people from another country, definitely it is proving that we cannot on our own. We must reach beyond our borders to make sure that this will be solved. So I ask, what was the reason of going around and consulting people in the diaspora, which means you consulted them and you gave them something different, because these were the key challenges. We said this is not captured. We wanted this, we're not seeing it. It's like what they give us as if we're not saying it's not good, but it's more of foreign than domestic.
Still on the area of sovereignty, when you look at the president's detail, security detail, you find out that you have a lot of an external force, external detail guarding the president all the time. What's your take on that?
This is a concern for all Gambians. I believe they're hiding behind security reform, but that doesn't justify for you to leave your security in the hands of non-Gambians. I wouldn't buy that, in as much as they're trying to taint the security sector as being Jammeh loyalists or being loyal to the former president or the government. That is not an excuse, not all of them. I would say that would be a handful if it exists. You know, a greater part of the security are Gambians. They're very loyal to their country. I believe the president doesn't have what it takes, you know, in order to tickle that security, to put them in line, and to make sure that their zeal will definitely be renewed to serve the interests of this country. Most of them swore to defend this country. So him being the commander-in-chief, that will be his sole responsibility. And again, you will question the security advisors he has. What are they advising the president? What measures are being taken to make sure that our men and women in uniform are definitely up to the task to serve this country? It is definitely questionable.
Let me take you back to the Congress. To make a Congress of that magnitude means a lot of sacrifice from party supporters and militants. Did you in any way, did you have anybody who sponsored outside the party structure, party militants?
Not to my knowledge. With all the information that I received, what I've heard from audio and pictures I've seen, it's all party members and sympathizers. You know, if I say sympathizers, some of them are not actively in politics, but they're so much inclined to the ideals of the party. They sympathize with us and they contribute. But not to my knowledge that anything came from individuals or organizations outside. We would have loved to have that, but it's not forthcoming.
To select your party leader is you follow due process.
Yes.
And this Congress did not highlight or did not make any pronouncement as to the presidential candidate come 4th of December. Why was that so?
First and foremost, the leadership that steered the affairs of the party from 2017 up to date, the party members definitely have confidence in them. They really appreciate the effort and the work that they do. For them, they feel it should be a continuity. Nonetheless, we've added few people and created few portfolios to strengthen the executive more. For the flag bearer or presidential candidate, it is a norm, just a tradition, not a law, within the Aprc that we await for few months before election for us to select or elect our flag bearer and to unveil it. These are based on strategies and techniques we use for campaign methods and also the way we tactically, approach elections in order to win. So this is something internal, and anytime that the party wants to select or elect a flag bearer, it will be made known. We'll organize another extraordinary Congress. But prior to the Congress, there were so much talks, audio's been released there, but who will be the flag bearer of the party? Are we going into elections or what would it be? People were left in the limbo. But during the Congress, they really appreciated how it was conducted. And I believe for now, everybody is with the consent that we must wait for a few months before election so that we can select or elect our flag bearer.
The APRC still looks up to former President Jammeh quite a lot.
Yes.
And there has been some rumors of President Jammeh coming back to this country. There have been rumors also that it's not too far away. Do you hear these rumors, and what is your take on them?
Yes, it's all over social media to the extent the government always has to respond with a press release in order to counter whatever it is happening. It is our belief that by the loss of the land, there is no law that can prevent him from coming back. This is our belief. But how soon is he coming back? We said that is with him to decide. We cannot force him. We cannot carry him on our shoulders and bring him back. What is he waiting for? What is he walking through? He is the one who will be able to shed light on that. But again, lest the people forget, he did not go or leave the shores of this country on his own. It was a joint declarations, and there were international bodies that were involved in that joint declaration.
Do you think that the international bodies that worked that declaration betrayed or acted in bad faith, that now they cannot stand and say, we said so, and we believe that this should take place?
I wouldn't say betray, but at some point they failed what they upheld to initially. Looking at all the points that were there, few were honored, the rest it's an attitude of showing or practically putting to us that they don't really care what happens. They're not saying the words, but their actions, it's how we feel that's how they concluded. Because to remind people, we had a peaceful demonstration at the Sukuta Jabang traffic light. We wrote to them, the UN, AU, and ECOWAS, and up to date, we don't receive any response from them. So that speaks volumes to us that they're not honoring it as expected. So for us, definitely, if it was a promise, they have failed it.
And not a betrayal?
I wouldn't call it a betrayal, because betrayal is in a sense that there's an agreement working towards it where you will expect that things will be fruitful. All of a sudden they either back out or use a different technique. Then you see, oh, there was hope at the end of that tunnel, there was light, but all of a sudden darkness appears. You'll say, okay, I am betrayed. But for me, I would say they're playing games. Okay, when you engage them, what they tell you, but coming to the public to at least break that ice so that people will see what's melting underneath, that's what they don't want to do. For me, it's just tactical.
Your Congress has given you some testimony. It has given you some facts. It's given you a sort of a yardstick to measure the strength of the APRC come 4th of December 2021. Do you believe that the APRC can retake State House?
That's our slogan. We said back to State House. We've been there before. We have the belief with a firm conviction that we'll get back to State House.
How will you get back to State House?
We're working very hard. I can tell you 7 days a week. Even on Sundays, we're at our bureau. We're working very hard. In a sense, the crowd is there. What we're working on for our people to get the necessary documents in order to be able to register and qualify as a voter.
Is that a problem? Is that a problem? People not getting their documentations. Is that a problem?
Yes, of course, it is a problem.
And what are you doing about that problem?
We're trying to engage authorities, but first we always find out from our people. If you go and said you are rejected, we want to know why. What type of documents do you have? Because we know what the law stipulates. So we always find out whether they have the necessary documents. If they don't, we tell them what they need to get. But the challenge they have is the authorities, the security personnel at the immigration are challenging them to bring documents of their parents, some of whom has passed away very long time ago. Even whilst they were alive, they were not able to maintain their documents. Talk of when they pass away, where will they get that? That's one of the biggest challenge. You'll check all their national documents is in line. You feel that they're entitled to have this national document. You tell them, go and bring.
But why when I wanted an ID card, nobody asked me my parents' documents?
Yeah, this is what I'm saying, the challenge that they're putting up. They're saying mainly because of surnames and the tribes that they belong to. So they're putting up these challenges to them. For me, I believe it's not an issue only about election, but as a citizen of a country, it is definitely wrong and illegal to deprive people of their citizenship. So that needs to be, this should be a national issue rather than a political issue.
Are you resolving it? Are you taking steps to make sure that it is resolved? What progress have you made so far?
We normally contact people we know within the hierarchy of those institutions to lay our complaints. And in most cases, at times, we accompany them to find out from sources what are really the problems. But in as much as we're doing that, we have our limits, we have where we can stop. And sometimes it's like they're using the law or they're using force, I would rather say, to deprive people of their nationality or their citizenship, which I believe the government needs to step in. Because at the end of the day, like for instance, if you talk about APRC, they tell you it's a Jola party. Not all Jolas are going to vote for APRC. This is Gambia. And the same Jolas, they belong to other political parties. So if you want to deprive people of having these documents based on their tribe or their surnames, you know, definitely it will be a national issue. It's beyond politics, I believe.
Important word you use, tribe. How detrimental is the issue of tribalism affecting the socio-economic and political scenario in the Gambia?
It's definitely not very serious, I would say. Socially, yes, on the social media, but economically, if you look at it, I sometimes say we don't have tribalism, but we have tribalists. That is people who believes in that philosophy and they're peddling it, trying to promote it. But socially looking at us, at our workplaces, at our compounds, inside our houses, all tribes, we live together peacefully, harmoniously, and we're dealing with each other whenever you go out in the streets. Sometimes, unless and until you ask for people's surnames or names, you won't know which tribe they belong to. So we're yet to see that in this country that this particular tribe has this privilege or that shop or that area, only this tribe lives there. We don't have that. We are all integrated in society. That's why I said we don't have tribalism. But at certain angles, when it comes to who should have what, that's why we're trying to play the cards of tribalism, which we all have to discourage. And I always say the solution to this problem is we should go back to our national anthem. We always show respect to it, stand at ease whenever it is recited, and we sing along the word. I said it is high time we practicalize these words into our lives so that it should impact. And we should teach the young ones what the national anthem intends, and this will solve the issue or the problem of tribalism.
It calls for national unity.
Brotherhood.
It calls for brotherhood.
For the Gambia, our homeland. So we should not push people away. We all belong to the same homeland. You know, we strive, we walk and pray. These are ethics that, you know, must be embedded in us. It should be inculcated in us positively, and we will live towards being better Gambians. Even through our sovereignty, it will portray that definitely these people are Gambians. Where it is sung, or wherever that anthem comes into play, you don't recognize who is who, rich or poor, black or white, or fair in color. Whatever your complex is, we all stand and we sing the same words being pronounced. If we practicalize that, we'll be all unison in our drive or whatever we want in this country.
Let me take you to the registration of voters saga, which so far seems to be even at banging itself against the wall between the GPPA and the IEC, which is finally, I don't know where what the outcome has been so far, but then there is a standoff. In fact, the IEC cannot proceed to go about the voter registration exercise. Are you worried?
Of course, I am worried, and the reason being the IEC, as much as it is an independent electoral commission, they must not take it for granted that we're on our own, we will do as we please. That will definitely not yield the results we're all waiting for. You know, you don't need to hold onto your line and say, I am not making any step further. If those on the opposing end does the same thing, then we'll not come to terms. So it would be an appeal to the IEC that what we need is dialogue. Dialogue is always a win-win situation. It's not a debate, it's not a negotiation, but dialogue is what would be to the interests of the IEC, what would be to the interests of the GPPA. Of course, both are serving the nation's interests. So this is why I said dialogue. But some of the excuses the IEC are trying to give, for me, it is cheap. IT, it's my field. I understand the language they are speaking. You're saying that you've tried a company, ESI, you've been working for them for a very long time, the experience is there, you know, the technical know-how, we agree. But how did you start with them? You never knew them before. You just, you know, put all your eggs in one basket and said, let me try them. It worked. So it could also happen internally. You know, the only company that bid to be awarded those election materials is the Smart Business Group. I've engaged their CEO, we had the chit chat, I've gone through their website and I was able to access a lot of documents. And for me, they can do the job. And they have a partnership with an international body or company that has done it for 6 to 8 African countries bigger than the Gambia with very positive outcomes. So you cannot only say, I have done it with X, I cannot try Y. Those excuses are not accurate. And what they're saying, if you give it to a Gambian-owned company, they could give the database to other political parties, they could be inclined to one political party. Those excuses are not genuine. Even international bodies can do that. So you make sure that even if you award the country internally, you are in charge, you are the driver. You just give them a responsibility, but you are the overseer and the supervisor. You can monitor all that they do. But for me, I'm not buying these excuses. And based on what we pinpoint earlier about sovereignty, it's high time we look inward. Be it the IEC or the SEMLEX or whatever, Gambia should belong to Gambians.
Recently, the President of the Republic of the Gambia launched his political party. And were you invited? Because we covered the proceedings. But was an invitation extended to your party?
Yes, we had an invitation. Earlier, it was a letter that stated about the event, place and date, but no time and how many people should attend. So when we had a meeting, we decided only one person should attend, and the first deputy party leader volunteered to attend. So which was like one person is going until a day before the launching itself. On a Friday in the evening, I personally got a call from one of the members of the NPP trying to find out where our bureau is. I directed him. Later he called back and said, I brought invitation cards for 3 people to attend. We have given you priority of 3 people attending. I communicated back to the leadership. They said, okay, 1 already volunteered. Why don't we have you and the administrative secretary making it 3 for you people to attend? So that's how we end up having 3 people to attend. If they have given us more than 3, we'll honor it. If they have given us 1, we'll also honor that. But we attended upon invitation.
People think that, or assume that there is a likelihood that the APRC may kind of form a little bit, form some affiliation or a coalition with the present status quo, with the present with President Adama Barrow. Is that foreseeable?
It's politics. You don't brush it aside. It could happen. Anything could happen. But not only with NPP, it could be with other political parties as well. There are other parties who also show interest that they want to work with the APRC. So it's not only NPP, but we cannot close our doors and say no coalition, or we're not going to make any alliances with any party. I always give a simple example. If we say we're going solo and other political parties come together as a coalition, then we don't stand any chance of winning. So we're going to play our cards along, watching the space, studying the game properly and see what would be the best interest of the country first, then the party. These two we're not compromising. We want to see a better Gambia of what we have now. We must move ahead. And our party too, we must maintain the party is maintained, sustained, for the longer years coming, especially for the youth. The party leadership owe a lot to the youth folk who've been giving everything to this party. So they deserve that ownership. They deserve the responsibility to steer the affairs of this party in the future.
The APRC party believes very strongly in the loyalty of its supporters. Is that loyalty still there? Have people moved their allegiance from the APRC elsewhere, or are you still intact?
We're still intact despite a handful. That is very inevitable. In politics, you don't own people. You're not paying them salaries. People have every right to belong to any party that they want. Whenever the news comes to me about cross-carpeting, I said it's their choice, it's their right. You can't restrict that. But to show you that the loyalty is there, we are one of the political parties. From the last local government elections, we haven't lost a single councillor or a member of parliament to any political party. They're still intact. And that alone shows you the loyalty within the ranks of the party. And within the leadership, they're yet to hear that anybody has cross-carpeted. They will tell you, okay, well, how about Sidi Njai? Sidi did not cross-carpet. Sidi came to the leadership and gave genuine reasons why he's going to work with Barrow. I wouldn't call that cross-carpeting. The very day I was called and told that we want to give you Sidi Njai's place, Sidi was seated right there. To the extent they have to tell me that Sidi is here with us. So that's not cross-carpeting. It's like he pleaded with them, discussed with them, and they cannot stop him. They tell him, you're free to do whatever you wish is best for you. That's why up to date, you don't hear Sidi talking about APRC or the leadership or anything. There's still that bond. Wherever we meet, no exchange of words, etc., we still build that relationship with him. And we respect his choice and decision.
As all the political parties are vying or are treading on the road to State House, the war of words, you do not find the APRC caught up in the war of words. Why is that so?
We believe in our norms and values and principles. That is, we want a peaceful Gambia. And to our militants, we inculcate discipline in them to the extent it is non-negotiable, and we don't tolerate indiscipline within our party ranks. even if Dodou goes out there, makes a mistake that the party is not happy with, they will condemn me and they will write to show their stance. That is the APRC. They wouldn't want to defend what is not right. So the membership knows that, the leadership knows that. If you want to be on your own and do as you please, we will let you be on your own to distance ourselves. But nonetheless, you still belong to us. We'll fight your right. But we wouldn't hesitate to put you in line. That's one of the reasons with APRC. We don't, definitely promote or tolerate anything that will definitely create chaos within society. In as much as we're suppressed, we've been suppressed, we've lived under difficult conditions from 2017 coming today, but they've not seen us for once taking to the streets to demonstrate or do anything violent. All the message we're sending to our people is be patient, abide by the laws of the land, and to make sure that we have respect and love for this country, that we're not compromising.
The APRC did not do badly in 2016.
Not at all.
Will you be able to consolidate on the gains you made, and where you faltered, work seriously on them? There were areas that were strongholds of the APRC. For example, Jechuang. But you lost dismally in Jechuang, and so also in Banjul.
Yes, we've been working and still working very hard on that, and one of the key reasons why we lost them is based on finance. Politics, you cannot achieve what you want in the absence of finance. It's key, it's the backbone, because campaigning, as requires a lot of funding to do. People cannot just volunteer and do things for free. At times, even if they don't want to, they cannot. Mobility is also another factor. So when our vehicles were seized, our accounts frozen, it definitely handicapped us. In a lot of areas, we were not even able to put up candidates, and that was definitely a problem. So these two were working very hard on them. We might not attend them 100%, but we'll do our utmost to make sure that the means are there so that we'll be able to rejuvenate in these places that we definitely lost.
Stifling your funds, was that to incapacitate the mighty APRC?
Exactly, because every good politician knows that in the absence of these two, mobility and finance, no political party would survive or to achieve the results that they are yearning for 100%. Definitely it will affect any political party that lacks that. You cannot, definitely live your dreams.
I'm sure negotiations are underway. You're talking to government to look into your predicament, to look into the unlawful seizure of your assets and your finances. What are you hearing from their side?
We've ever pushed for that since 2017. We've never relented. But of late, we decided to say, let's just take a back seat and watch whatever government wants to do. Let them do that. But during the Congress last week, resolutions were passed, and part of which they again bringing it back, engage government for our vehicles and our party accounts. So which means, okay, no relaxing, we should be on our toes again. And be rest assured we'll engage them again, because it is the members that own the party and they're still demanding for that. So we cannot brush it aside or give flimsy excuses. We'll pursue them. But the response we're getting is not very positive, to be quite honest.
Do you think there is a misunderstanding that the party funds were deemed to be Jammeh's money?
No, they investigated into those accounts. Maybe what they found shocked them. Those accounts belong to the party. Jammeh was not even a signatory. The very reasons they're holding on to it is just to paralyze us financially, to incapacitate us, to make sure that what we want to achieve will be delayed or even made impossible. These are the reasons. If they had any links or any connections with Jammeh, the Jammeh Commission would have featured that. The government white paper would have featured that. But not a single sentence or word from these findings that mention our party vehicles and accounts.
If it gets to the worst, would you want to take matters to where the courts will decide?
Yes, of course. We're looking into that. We already have started engaging some legal practitioners, lawyers, for them to advise. We want to know how much it would cost, and all the legalities in place. We started working on that, especially after the Congress will be pushed, and the membership would want to know how far, because they own the party. We just there steering the affairs of it as leaders. But majority of party members, if they say this is what we want, definitely that's how it should be.
You're watching the Road to Independence, the Road to Independence, the Road to State House, a program that looks at political parties as they prepare and strategize to win State House come 4th December 2021. And my guest today is a deputy spokesperson for the Aprc, Mr. Dodou. Mr. Jah, looking at this government now, the government of Adama Barrow, what would you like to change? What is wrong that when you sit in State House, you will correct?
That's definitely very, I would call it a darling question. It's something I've been crying over. Initially, when the coalition came, they talked about one Gambia, one nation, one people. That's in theory, but practically, that never surfaced. Especially, you know, there are people they found in government, they believe anybody who worked with Jammeh must go. For me, that was a mistake. A particular tribe were targeted, that is the Jola tribe, because that's where the former president belonged to. For me, that is incorrect. The diaspora were not given the opportunity to participate in building that new Gambia. For me, I also believe that wasn't right. And people earned position within government based on what they did in the struggle, who suffered more than the other. So these were angles that need to change. The country belongs to all. If I have done a lot for the struggle, I should have done it sincerely and for this country to move forward. If that is achieved, that is my reward. That is what I should expect. Let people hail me. Let I be a legend and be in the books of history of my efforts and contribution. But when it comes to designating positions or responsibilities with his government, you cannot say, I went to jail, then I should have this ministry or that portfolio. What should change first is cabinet. Leadership comes with responsibility. And portfolios, if it is giving, to whom much is giving, much is expected. You have to deliver. You must keep an eye on them. You must be on your toes to follow what they do and whether they're serving the people. That is holding them accountable. For me, I believe it is not happening. If, for example, I am the Ministry of Education, government should be able to tell me the achievements of my previous successors. Okay, this is what was achieved. Now, from here, moving on, I should be able to give them, what do you think you can do? Not exactly, but at least estimate, so that government will see how to support you. And depending on your achievements, what you are able to put on the ground, they will be able to see, okay, Mr. Jah should be left with education. He has done a lot from this point to that point. But if where it was left, it is still there, or I have drawn it backwards, why should I continue in such a position? Either a swap over or somebody competent that can deliver should be replaced with Mr. Jah so that we move forward. Accountability, I believe that's where it all starts and begins. But you cannot give me a ministry for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Nothing has changed, nothing has improved, and I am paid monthly. Am I serving my people? No, I am not. Is it fair to still maintain that position or office? I am not being honest to my country and my people. So hiring and firing, for me, it cannot end unless people do the right thing and deliver to the masses. That cannot change. We should take up responsibilities and deliver in the effect that we cannot, let's give others the opportunity. The country doesn't belong to a chosen few. It belongs to all. So you're there to serve the people. So that should change on the onset.
Will you support the argument thrown by the Honorable Sidia Jatta when he said, why is Gambia celebrating independence when she is grappling with a staggering debt burden?
I don't share the same idea. Celebrating independence, we owe it to every Gambian. Debts or being indebted to others, it's a way that you cannot eliminate 100%. What we should ask is, the loans or debts we're taking, is it put into where it is meant to be? I think that is key, that is what is important. I will give example, like when the Minister of Fisheries said they cannot afford a trawler. I said, what? You can take a trawler on loan. let's say at most within 1 year, you could pay back that trawler and buy 1 or 2 others.
Within 6 months.
6 months. But that's why I said at
yes.
least 1 year. That is when somebody wants to deliver to the people. That's the way you think. But I cannot, and you depend on others to be in charge of your affairs. You killing this economy off. You killing the people off. And these are the consequences we're living today. So indebting, it's not actually a big problem. It is a problem, but not a big one. When you are indebted, you make good use of these funds. You could pay back and have a surplus when you definitely want to work for your people. Because if you don't have it, there are only 2 mechanisms. You either borrow or you make use of your own resources within a time frame you will be able to support yourself. Either approaches, we should go for one. I would say, let's be self-dependent. Let's rely and believe in ourselves in order to serve our people. But it's been a very long years, I would say, over 50 years, still the scenario hasn't changed. It's like what was there before, it's still what is happening. For me, I will label it as failure. If you said I did bad, if you come, you should do better. But if you perform as I did, you're worse than me. Knowing fully well that what I did didn't work, wasn't good, and you're still in the same shoes, definitely you're worse than me. So at some point, we must look for a change. Change not only in the leadership, but the mechanisms we put in place to move this country forward. We should start looking to different directions now.
Your party, when it was in power, had a slogan, eat what you grow and grow what you eat, trying to make sure that Gambians depend wholly and solely on what they can produce on their own. But we are still importing our basic foodstuff, and at the same time at a higher rate, at a higher price. Your take on that?
It's very sad. Things could have been better, if not at its best, but better. I would say, and I always ask this question, why do we wait for rainfalls for us to engage in farming when we have sweet waters in abundance? What is wrong with putting in place modern irrigation systems that would supply water throughout the year and farming goes throughout the year? What is stopping us from supporting either be it groups or communities that are into farming to provide them with not only equipments, if not irrigation systems, but with boreholes that will be able to sustain the agricultural farming that they are into? We're yet to see, giant leaps in those areas, and I believe it is possible at the shortest time. But all we hear is promises. And again, price hiking. Government is increasing tasks without putting any measures, to make sure that basic commodities will be exempted. We're not saying you cannot increase tasks, but not on all commodities. Basic essentials, these are things that we're all equally in it. The poor solely depend on it for survival. When you're increasing it, you're definitely making their lives difficult. Why can't we reduce the tax on basic essentials or commodities? And why can't we even make it duty-free for these things that people need on daily basis? Whether rich or poor, we survive on that. I think government needs to look at that and make a U-turn in trying to address that sector, because the way things are going, very shortly, I am afraid people will start, taking another turn by venting their anger for the lack of basic necessities that they definitely cannot afford.
You have seen certain instances where the people of the Gambia have been caught unawares with the rising number of fishing in our waters by the Chinese, the number of licenses that are given to outside operators. We've also seen what is being done in our beaches in Gunjur, environmentally. We have also seen the burning of the Ministry of Fisheries. And this is one sector. Apart from agriculture, tourism, fisheries is the next sector that can take this country, make this country economically sound. Are you still worried that the government has not yet done anything with the situation of the fire, the scandal in the fisheries department, the environmental destruction of Gunjur, and the over-issuance of fishing licenses to outside operators?
Mr. Jones, I am very much worried when it comes to, all these that had happened and still happening. I believe government should revisit these contracts. And it is my belief the fisheries saga, government need to take firm stance. But it's what we expected. If you say government for the people, of the people, by the people, I believe many people don't understand this slogan or these words the way it is used. You cannot be a government that wants to satisfy everybody. For you, whatever people do, it's okay. You have to take it mildly, you have to take it slowly, you have to take it at a pace that you don't want to hurt anybody. I think that is one of the biggest problems we facing as a government in moving forward to deliver to the people. And all these things, I believe, at the shortest time possible, it could have been resolved. But it is not happening. What is government hiding? How were these contracts, given or allocated or, definitely accepted? No wonder the fisheries department has to be in flames, the ministry itself. When I saw
Was
that
it a cover-up?
I would say maybe. Because when I saw the videos, when the fire started going into flames, instead of people making effort in order to put off that fire, everybody's busy on their mobile phone trying to record what is happening. I said, what is this? Fire should terrify people. And the aftermath or end result of fire does not have to give people, that zeal of wanting to make videos and recording rather than putting any effort to put it off. And part of the report, what we had, it started from the toilet, a place where you expect to have a lot of water. We know what fire and water, how they are related. Definitely for me, that excuse is very, very cheap. And again, what stand and action has the government taking? It's like things are just left lying down. Our beaches, our river, you've mentioned it. It's what could sustain one of the means to definitely build a strong economy. It is in the hands of foreigners, and they are abusing it. Over-licensing has happened, without doubt, that is factual, to the extent most of these fishing trawlers hiding at our mangroves and other places have been discovered by some investigative journalists and other concerned Gambians who were able to expose them. What step has the government taken? Not even a statement from them. Are they really serious about it? That's why I said, what are they hiding? How much money is given to them, if there is any? These are issues that they definitely need to feed the public with. If you take so much money, you should invest them in same sectors to better it, but not to share it or put it or divert those funds into something that will definitely enhance or upgrade those type of sectors. That's why I said I am very worried, and I am not expecting much as far as change is concerned if these same people are still in charge.
Let us look at the political crystal ball. And help me out in this scenario when I try to figure out what December 4th, 2021 will look like. Do we see a war between, or a fight, or a main challenge between the UDP and the NPP, wherein the votes of these two parties will be split and the Aprc votes will still remain intact and possibly given you State House?
Thank you very much. To analyze that, we will not guarantee that our votes will be intact. It's politics. It depends how much work we've exerted and what are our plans. Have we executed successfully? That is a question mark that will determine what we maintain. That's why I said we're working very hard. But working very hard does not mean 100% will achieve all that we want. We could, we might not. But like the scenario of NPP, UDP, that is inevitable. They will share, they will divide. But again, it depends on each. Sharing alone isn't enough. What have they done? For two things. To take from other political parties is one, and secondly, what I call the undecided voters who don't belong to a political party. They're waiting for a candidate, a flag bearer that they feel Mr. X or Mrs. Y would definitely deliver us to the promised land, and they will rally behind you and give you their votes. This is what would determine it. What can you take from others? And how do you convince and motivate the undecided voters to be on your ship? This will determine who will be next in State House.
Do you have that personality?
Of course we do. This is why we're struggling to get the finance we need. We know it's not small money. We're doing our utmost, and if we have the finance, we guarantee it. But for the human resource, the capacity, the expectations are intact. I wouldn't hide to say we need money. Once we have it, we'll be able to execute.
Will that continue to bog down the APRC, the issue of money?
Yes, that's no secret, and we cannot sit in the open and keep bluffing while it's not there, because the repercussions will be great. You need to be open, you need to be honest, and you work hard to achieve what you want. Yes, money, it's right now our biggest challenge, and we need it.
Will that give the incumbent leverage?
Somehow, yes, but not to the extent of having it their way. Because like I said, we're kingmakers. Even if we don't have what we want, if we throw our weight on any, we're going with them. That's why I said we'll either do it alone, or it will be us and others, or us and them. It has to be one of the two. So the incumbent doesn't have to count on that. Okay, they definitely need money. They're yet to have it, and again, we can have it. It is our belief based on the efforts we exert. And of recent, we've appointed a new portfolio that is resource mobilization. And they've given us a very detailed and rich work plan of what they need to do. So the hopes are there, and the hopes are high. We believe we can. But again, the incumbent doesn't have to play the cards. Okay, we believe in case of they cannot, it will be to us. Then we are going to be kingmakers. We can decide who will form the next government, and let him not take us for granted.
One more question. If they, well, it can't be one more question. Two more questions.
Yeah.
If the APRC was going into a coalition or partnership with any political party, you wouldn't want to play second fiddle?
No way. We are not going to play second fiddle in any way. We have to make that clear. People cannot take us for a ride. And there are others who are giving the excuse of, the Jane Commission, the TRRC is tarnishing the image of AD. I said, yes, the party belongs to Gambians. And it is not the party, but an individual or some people. That does not mean it is going to affect the party. So for us, those excuses are not valid. But we want to show people we are the mighty APRC, and we have what it takes to become the government of the day. So we're not pushovers, and we are not desperate, and we will never be desperate. We want to hold our ranks and maintain what we have in the longest time possible. So we're not desperate.
Finally, Mr. Jah, what would you like to say to your militants, your sympathizers, and the people you want to win on your side in order to make sure that you get State House 4th December 2021?
My message to all is, let's be nationalists, let's be patriots. This country belongs to us, and only us can build this country. People from outside can come and support. They can play their part to help us move forward. But we should take ownership. In a sense, we're one and the same. Let's put our differences aside to know that we have a country to build. And no single group or persons can do that. It must be all hands on deck. So politics shouldn't divide us. It shouldn't create enmity in between us. Let's respect people's choices in belonging to whatever party they want to, and support them in those parties to encourage them. It's like we all want to come to this table, sit together, and have the same aims and objectives in moving forward. We could come from different directions. That's not a problem. What's important is, what do we put on this table in order to take back and deliver? This is what is important. Let's save ourselves the attacks, the bullying, the insults, the defamation of characters, etc., character assassination. Let's love one another. Gambia is very peaceful. Our norms and values we shouldn't ignore. We all have a responsibility to play in building this country. Let's put the country first and self last. Whether I mean self, be it personal interest, party interest, group interest, the country comes first, because it was the country before us. After us, the country still remains. Unless and until we change that mentality, you will not even look at a Gambian and insult them, because that same woman, dignified woman you insult, could be related to you. So let's put this at the back of our mind. We want a peaceful country, no matter what it takes. Elections come and go. Politics run this country, but it should be a decent one. Love for country should be the banner on top of our heads.
Mr. Jai, it's been a pleasure to have you on the program, Road to State House. We wish you and the APRC the very best of luck.
Thank you.
And we will continue this program with you from time to time up to now and against the 4th of December 2021. Thank you once again
Thank you
being
for
our
having
guest.
me on the show.
That was Mr. Dodou. He is the Deputy Spokesperson for the Alliance for Patriotic Orientation and Construction Party. He was talking to me on Road to State House. From me, Malik Jones, bye-bye.